Do you know, I saw some of the tweets of people being like, oh, this time last year, I was looking at my wife for a bit of glass because I was respecting isolating rules and the Tories were having a party. Like, it's a fucking joke.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Chatter. Before we get started, I just have a few quick messages. First off, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. It's the best way that you can help us grow. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. It's going to help us rank higher and get more and more views and therefore bigger and better guests. Links for everything will be in the description below. So please enjoy the podcast. For that, if I'm totally honest, I don't think that's very right. There's a lot of fucked up shit in there, isn't there? I mean, all those parties that they were having, who was paying for the booze?
We were, and I was at a New Year's Eve party thinking, fuck, there's police outside, they're gonna arrest me. And they did not give a flying fuck. Man said, bring your own booze party. They had a cheese and wine gathering, Christmas parties. And have you seen one of the videos of Boris Johnson dancing?
Yeah, what's that from?
With the woman with the lightsaber.
Yeah,
Like they're whining and grinding. They're not even respecting social distancing rules, which is one of the things that they said. They were like, oh, they were socially distanced events.
For about half a second, I thought it was Diane Abbott.
No, oh my God forbid. I have too much respect for that woman to be able to have been her if it was.
Oh yeah, no, but like, can you imagine like the secret romance across the Commons floor?
Oh, hell would break loose if that was Diane Abbott. And it's the fact that they tried to draw her out as well for having a gin and tonic on the tube, and then now you're just...
Remember that? Yeah, they did. They wrung her out for having a fucking gin and tonic from a can.
I read, do you know what? Byline Times actually reported that on the day of that bring your own booze party in the UK, there was like 280 deaths due to COVID while they were partying. And then after the party, he came forward and said, yeah, police have the right to like crack down on anyone having like any outdoor parties or anything like this. And I'm just like, I don't think people are grasping, like people are pissed off, but I don't think people are grasping how messed up it is. Like he's lied for months. There's been countless times where he's made other people take the rap for it. When the whole thing came out of Dominic Cummings, the whole country was mad at Dominic Cummings thinking, oh, Boris Johnson's respecting guidelines. He's lied about 15 times. He said no, guaranteed there wasn't any parties. He's asked for an inquiry into a party that was at his own house. A man who doesn't know if he attended his own house should not be running the country, because do you not realize, like he said he was just came out and like saw people but didn't realize it was a party. Would you not question why there's people in your house?
Maybe. I mean, maybe he's used to living in some sort of bedsit.
Like a sex house.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what that happens in 10 Downing Street, just a bunch of cocaine and sex.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's beyond the possibility. I mean, like, just for the record, like, we have been recording for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, I assume so. That's
okay,
fine.
good.
Yeah,
I didn't quite catch the first like 60 seconds, but yeah.
We'll probably round back to it anyway.
Yeah, we'll roll into it. It's fine. So yeah, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back. I love it here. It's great. Yeah. It's a nice space. And I love that it's in Peckham as well. Peckham is full of characters.
Yeah, I love it. Shout out to Market Peckham for hosting as well. It's a fantastic little space. I really enjoy it. So I hopefully, when I eventually get myself over here in the next couple of months, then I will move somewhere near enough to here, because it's a nice spot.
It's a nice area.
Yeah, and this place generally is just great. But yeah, so we're here to talk about how fucked up the world is right now.
Literally, you can't even summarize it. It's just fuckeries. So back to the whole party situation, because it's just stupid. Like I was saying, I don't think people grasp how crazy it is. It's scary to know that he's willingly lied time and time again, and would continue to do so unless there was literally a leaked email and a video of him at a party.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like he would legit just continue to like there's no remorse. Like when I saw that thing yesterday when he was like, given the apology, and it was literally like, he's like, well, I'm sorry you're mad, you know, I'm sorry you're angry.
It's like a backhanded apology. And then do you know what, I'm not even one to support the royal family because fucking Prince Andrew, but to know that picture of the Queen sitting by herself at thingy's, what's his name? Philip's funeral. Oh my God. See, that's why I don't care for them. At Philip's funeral, because she had to go to a socially distanced funeral and Boris Johnson was partying. I would literally order for him to be beheaded. I don't even care what age we're in anymore. I'd just be like, behead that man.
Does she have that power? There's probably some obscure rule that gives her that power.
There has to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd expel him from the land. Just be like, you're banished. Banished from England. Banished from the United Kingdom. Honestly, it's been an absolute joke. Do you know what? I can't say I'm surprised because from the beginning of the pandemic, it's been a fucking joke with this guy. In the beginning, we were late to go into lockdown because he was too busy being in the Caribbean and planning his wedding. Like, he was just like, sorry guys, I'm vibing. Don't know about you, but I'm here. Then failed to do anything with the PPE. Track and trace, absolute failure. Lied, backed people that decided to break lockdown rules. Like when Dominic Cummings resigned, he was just like, oh yeah, that was his own choice. I didn't really care if he resigned or not. Basically, like, it's, he needs to resign, but I feel like he's so certain that people aren't, he's still got supporters. That's what's stupid. That's what's dumb.
I know.
And I almost put it down to the fact that I feel like people enjoy drama. Like, politics is like show business. Do you know what I mean?
I have a theory that like things will never ever calm down again because we're all addicted to the drama.
Like news you don't ever get good news. News is all bad stuff because people like drama, people like tragedy. That's the only reason I can ever imagine that Trump ever got elected as well, because he was a TV personality who knew how to put on a show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he knew what the crowd wanted. He knew how to like whip them up. It's like
Boris doesn't exactly know how to whip us up, but we fucking laugh at him. Like, even the fact that like he gets changed into memes every time he does something wrong, it kind of diminishes the tragedy of what he's actually done because people are like, oh, it's funny. Do you know what I mean? And humor very much helps us deal with any type of tragedy and trauma. So the moment you bring humor into it, people are just like, oh yeah, Priti Patel, Boris Johnson, funny, ha ha ha. And it's like, no, they're killing thousands of people. It's not funny. It's not funny. Like, how many 20,000 people, elderly people, like seniors, died under
because they sent them back to their like out of the hospital into the homes.
It's ridiculous. Like
no one talks about that. Like everyone's like talking about like every other part of the pandemic. They could talk about, well, I mean, there's loads of stuff that obviously they've got wrong, but that for me is one of the worst bits.
Like
it's like that was completely unnecessary.
20,000 different families were left without grandparents or parents in some cases because Boris Johnson did not know how to deal with the senior generation during a pandemic. To be honest, he didn't know how to deal with anything during the fucking pandemic. Wow. But no, and I almost feel like because he does thing after thing after thing, people just forget. People can't store that much information in their head. Like, people's attention span is much shorter nowadays. So for him to fuck up, I feel like maybe that's why he's fucking up all the time, because he's like, oh, they'll forget. It's almost like, in order to forget about one scandal, you need a new one.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's just like, I'm just going to roll scandal until it's another election time. He's not going to resign. And Keir Starmer's not exactly doing a good job at whipping him into shape. He's not doing fuck all.
No, Keir Starmer's been such like, is Keir Starmer just a Tory? Like, is he just a Tory?
I feel like he is, but like they won't accept him. So he's just like, please. He's like a beg. Do you know what I mean? He's just like a little puppet for them. Like, he's not done anything. Let's be realistic. The Labour Party represents the working class. Keir Starmer does not represent that, so it doesn't make sense for him to be the leader of the Labour Party. Also, do you know how many conversations I've had over the last couple of months, and everyone who I know that's a Labour Party member is like, I'm not Labour anymore. I'm not, or they just want to leave because of Keir Starmer, and it's an absolute fucking joke.
Well, you're tapped into that world more than I am. Like, where are they talking about going?
This is the sad part. No one really has an alternative, and like when you actually get into the discussion of things, like obviously I don't necessarily say leave the Labour Party, because what the Labour Party stands for in its core is obviously something that I believe in, but the person at the forefront of it right now is just not someone that I want. But it's like, in my head, it's like, if you give up on it, you kind of letting him win, and it just doesn't make sense. But then it's like, it's a lose-lose battle. So it's like, what do you do? It's a really messed up situation, because like obviously you've got the possibility of moving to another party, but if we're being realistic, it's a two-party system in this country.
Yeah.
So it's almost like if you move to another party, you're just wasting your time and you're wasting your vote and you're wasting your voice because it's not really going to compete with Labour and the Tories. So, but under Labour, they're an absolute joke. The recent election in Shropshire where the Tories lost it and Labour didn't get it because Lib Dems got it.
Yeah.
After Tories, Labour dropped from 22% to 10%.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't they lose like 10 points?
Yeah. It's a joke. So everyone's like, oh yeah, the Tories are fucking up and then dropping down in the polls, but so are Labour because Labour's not doing anything to go against what they're doing.
Yeah.
Keir Starmer's almost just like, yeah, go on.
Yeah. It's like
stroking Boris Johnson's ego and that's it.
You know, it's like where is the no confidence motion? You know? Where is the fucking no confidence motion? You know?
It doesn't. I don't know what his aim is. I feel like his aim is to make this country a one-party system, that being the Tories, and the Labour Party almost just act as like one of their runners, like a puppet for them to just carry out some of their duties,
right?
Or solidify the ideas that they're putting forward in minds of the working class who have stupidly and blindly followed the Labour Party, thinking, oh no, they've still got our best interests at heart. And so then they end up slowly transforming into just being Tories, and then we live in a fucking draconian state.
Yeah, and that's really like where we're going. It's so weird to watch, and it's so weird to watch it happen in slow motion because it's like it's going hand in hand with like this monstrous crisis. And I was talking to Otto English about this yesterday. You know, the dude from Byline Times.
Yeah.
About how
I love his work.
Yeah, he's really fun, really smart guy as well. Great chat with him yesterday. And we were talking about this, how like there's the crisis that we have to deal with, but then there's this like horrendous authoritarianism that's being ushered in, like sort of alongside it, like under the guise of like this is gonna help, but you know, none of the things they're doing are actually designed to help.
Yeah. And I also feel like there's been so many distraction tactics. Like I feel like there's constantly something being thrown, like a government scandal. Cool, the parties have been going on, but the last time the Christmas parties got exposed, what got pushed through Parliament, the Borders and Immigration Bill that had its second reading during Parliament, got completely ignored because everyone was too busy talking about the fact that they had fucking Christmas parties, which realistically you should have expected from these idiots anyways.
Yeah.
And then when these other parties have been revealed, you've got what is it? What was it? No, I've forgotten. It's gone out of my mind because I focused on the Borders and Immigration Bill too much.
That's all right.
Fuck it, come back to me.
It'll come back to you.
It will,
it's
hopefully.
Fine. But the part that's so you got the Borders and Immigration Bill. There's
Policing Bill.
The Policing Bill. There's
the Official Secrets Act that they're trying to...
Secrets Act.
Yeah.
There's the Online Harms Bill.
Yeah.
There's the way like
NHS,
the NHS privatisation. There's the way they've treated like FOIA requests, and a lot of journalists going for that. There's like a list of like personas non grata in the Cabinet Office. At least according to Open Democracy, and I do believe them.
Yeah.
Then there's like for me like top of the list is the vaccine passport thing. That is for me the worst idea that you could possibly like conceive of, to give the Tories that power.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's like I'm vaccinated, but I got vaccinated before there was any talk about vaccine passports, and I feel like if someone asked me now if I want to get vaccinated, I might be like no, because I don't like the idea of forcing someone forced vaccination. No.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's the thing that really like freaks me out is that what it is at its core is a pass by which the government grants you access to society. And right now that might be based on like your vaccine status, right? That's how the legislation was put through. But they change it like that.
Yeah.
You know, they add the booster, or they add, you know, the next one, but underneath that technology is underlying the ability for like a digital ID to be put in. Yeah. And then if the government could just change that on a whim, it's like they now have a centralized way for you to be like granted access to society. And
they can digitally discriminate you in pretty much any shape or form,
yeah.
Which obviously perpetrates homophobia, racism, whatever the sort of, No, I know, it's it's fucked. I was reading somewhere recently in Sweden that actually putting the vaccine passports in like a little chip in your arm already.
Yeah.
They started doing it, and I was
Yeah.
like, why? It doesn't make any sense. Do you know what? It would make sense if it required for me to use my passport, my regular passport, to get into every place that I'm going.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't require for me to use my regular passport, why should I have to show you a vaccine passport? It just doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I mean? It's.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to show people this vaccine passports chip thing as well, just for them to, so we can see that.
Oh yeah, so that people don't think I'm like spreading misinformation. This is actually a thing.
There it is, like misleading. Sweden is rolling out COVID-19
No, they
passports.
actually did it. We got a video of it.
Here it is. Swedes get microchip implants. Let's get this up.
And it's like some business organization, and they've been doing like this microchip thing for a little while, but they've now developed it to include the COVID pass.
Yeah, there we are. 6,000 people in Sweden have had the chip inserted into their hands. What? Like,
I know.
yeah, that's pretty. It's insane where we're at with this. But I've been talking to my best friend a lot about this, and he is under the impression that we're like at a turning point where everyone is suddenly going, it's like, hang on, you know, we did all the stuff because of the pandemic, but like this is getting dangerous now. Calm down. Like, are you optimistic?
No, I don't even know. Do you know what? People that are going to watch this are going to talk shit. But I, for a very long time, have now acted like COVID just isn't a thing. Like, I've been around so many different people, whether it's my housemates, my mum, my brother, and because I've been in the same house as them, I've not tried to self-isolate. I've just gone under the impression that I'm going to get it. I haven't had it once. And so I've just lived my life like it doesn't really bother me. But it's scary what's happening, and the level of, like, authoritarianism, am I saying this correctly? Yes. That they're trying to push onto people is it's crazy. And the worst part is the fact that the government aren't exercising anything that they're trying to push onto us ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, even something as simple as making us wear masks. Boris Johnson ain't wore a mask. He went to a hospital and walked around without a mask. So it's, if you're not willing to do it, why should we be willing to do it? Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of question you should be asking yourself. Yeah.
It's unbelievable levels of arrogance as well.
I just feel like they don't know what they're doing. So every day it's something new. It's like, right, try this, try that. Maybe this will work. Maybe this will work. Because I'm sorry, the booster vaccine started getting pushed onto, promoted, and it's on radio ads, it's on TV ads, it's on underground ads. 6 months after we actually launched the vaccine to the rest of the world. It was very shortly after that. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like every day they're just inventing a new way to try and deal with the pandemic because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the best way of putting it, really, is that they're going with
the flow.
Yeah, they're throwing shit at the wall. Or it's like, I like to imagine it as Boris sitting at like a big console with like loads of levers and buttons being like, yes, we're doing it. And then like you just pan around to the back and it's unplugged. Like
That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
He thinks he's doing all the work, but he's doing fuck all.
Yeah. That's basically what it's at, like, isn't it? But yeah, like, part of me thinks that like you said, you're not sure about new parties, but part of me thinks that there's gotta be, because, like, right, you're saying that there's so many people leaving Labour, and eventually, like, that tipping point has to come where there would be the chance for them to win in certain seats, where there was just like Jeremy Corbyn, for example, is talking about the new party, and there's a couple of other ones that I've looked at, like there's the Workers' Party.
Is that Gina woman who?
Yeah, Gina Miller. What's that? The Truth and Fairness Party.
I think it is Truth and Fairness.
Something like that. And then there's the Breakthrough Party, who I've been closely following. I had their like head. It's like a decentralized thing, but like he's one of the people that founded it. So there's loads of like people, just standing up and saying we're gonna do it. But it's whether that like any of them sort of like catch.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. I'm all for different parties. My thing is even if it doesn't, do you know what? Even if it doesn't break through into the two-party system or make it as far as that, coming together in solidarity to bring a party because people are pissed off, I think is something beautiful. So for people to actually come together, it incentivizes other people, right? Like, okay, cool. There's other people that feel the same way I do. If I actually gather other people together, there's strength in power. I mean, there's there's strength in numbers. I said there's strength in power. There's strength in numbers, and it kind of, do you know what I mean, inspires people to realize that they can make a change if they actually want to. But like I said, I do think it's a two-party system, and it would be, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it would take a while, because even me saying, like a lot of people saying, oh yeah, fuck the Labour Party now, that's people that are like involved, like really involved. You've got people that are just Labour Party members because they, just for the sake of voting. Do you know what I mean? Not really because they're following everything. Like they might watch like 1-2 speeches of Keir Starmer, and they might be the good ones. So for all you know, they're just like, oh yeah, he's a great guy.
There's some good
like,
ones.
You know, when they just like cut it up to make him look good, like might have watched like a compilation on YouTube of him saying like his best one-liners to make it seem like he said something substantial, do you know what I mean? But he's not really.
Yeah. Oh, he comes out with the, sometimes he delivers these lines, and it's as if like you can see in his mind he wants to be cool enough to like mic drop and just be like, boom.
Like,
but like he couldn't pull it off.
Do you know what? One thing I will give him one thing. I give him the fact that my nails are getting in the way. I give him the fact that whenever they're at PMQs, Boris Johnson is such a just a mess. He's so wishy-washy that I feel like whenever he speaks, I'm just like, you could get blown over by a gust of wind. Like, you are pathetic. But Keir Starmer does have a bit more oomph in his voice. So when he speaks, he does kind of like shut down Boris Johnson, and Boris Johnson just does look like a little lost puppy there, like, oh.
Yeah.
And that gives me the satisfaction, because I know there is someone actually talking to him with a certain assertiveness in their voice, but he's not necessarily saying anything that actually gets him any trouble. He's just like, well, the right honourable gentleman, please understand that what he said is wrong, but I agree. That's literally what Keir Starmer says to Boris Johnson all the time. Like, that is very wrong and it will hurt loads of people, but I think we should keep doing it.
Like, where is the fucking no confidence motion? Where is it?
He's not a leader of the opposition. I feel like...
Bring back JC.
Honestly, when I heard that Jeremy Corbyn wants to... I feel like Jeremy Corbyn was like the last hope for the working class. Like, it was kind of like, it's either Jeremy Corbyn or it's no one. And so if he does his own thing, please, I just need him to take Zara Sultana with him. I need her to go.
Her too.
Because, yeah, she's my... Like, if it's not Jeremy Corbyn, it's Zara Sultana. Because who doesn't want a woman of colour as a prime minister? And she, do you know what? She always, whenever there's an issue that I have an issue with, I feel like she's just there to speak my mind. She speaks my mind for me. I'm just like, thank you very much.
Ultimately, that's what you want in a politician, right? Like, you want someone who, like,
yeah, no,
so you think something and they say it.
Come on, one out of how many there fucking are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm really hopeful that the same thing doesn't happen to her that happened to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's kind of been, like, consumed by the Democratic Party.
And now is just performative and nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. Like that.
Like, she doesn't do anything but wears a white dress that says...
Tax the rich. Yeah, force the vote.
Like, you know what I mean?
Instead
like,
of, wearing at the Met Gala with all of the people that you're meant to be, you know.
Taxing.
Yeah.
Who are
rubbing shoulders with them and, you know.
Be like, oh my God, you look great.
Yeah. Be like,
in your $50,000 dress.
Yeah.
Like, you probably don't pay any tax.
Yeah, and the person that designed the fucking dress owes taxes in Canada. Seriously. And she's married to a fucking billionaire.
Yeah, see, she's a sellout. Yeah, Zara Sultana, she's my MVP. She can't do that to me.
Okay, well, if you're listening.
Yeah, Zara Sultana, if you do that, I will meet you around the corner somewhere.
So, we've also got, on top of all the Boris shit, and we talked about it a little bit, Prince Andrew and the Ghislaine Maxwell case and the Virginia Giuffre sort of saying, I don't want your money, which was just beautiful. Like, Prince Andrew's, he's stripped of all of his titles. Do you know what? As much as it's satisfying, he's been stripped of all his titles, blah, blah, blah. It took you a fucking while. And it took, the only reason it's happened, like I read, when I was reading like a brief report on it, it was the BBC, because it came up on my phone, the BBC said something like, the decision was very harsh and came unexpectedly. And I was just like, shut the fuck up. The decision has only come because the US judge has decided to allow her case to carry on. That's the only reason you've now backed out. Because a couple of weeks ago, my taxes were paying for his court fees, for him to try and convince everyone that he's not a paedophile.
Very satisfied that Giselle Maxwell's gone away as well. Don't really understand why she went away before him.
Or she went away without divulging her fucking clients. There's a massive international sex trafficking ring, and they arrest the person in charge, but don't ask where the people were going. Like,
It's almost like even in a case like this, you could still be misogynistic. It's misogynistic towards her. Do you know what I mean? She's getting the short end of the stick, even though she's like, cool, she's just as guilty. But I don't even know how to fucking explain what I'm trying to say. They're both tapped, and they just need to be gone. But I don't, like I said, I don't really understand why it's taken the royal family so long to react to what's happened. Also, I think I don't know if you saw this, but his lawyers, when they were defending him, they tried to say that the victim is now living like in a nice house and she's got like a really well-paying job, as if the fact that she's successful should anyhow diminish her case. Like, it's almost like saying, oh, by the way, well, if you got sex trafficked, you should have a shit life because you should not have succeeded. Like, it's like saying, oh yeah, you got sex trafficked, so like you should technically be like a crackhead.
yeah.
That's basically what they said.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you what? No, congratulate the woman for being able to succeed as far as she did, even though she was sexually trafficked by a man that is supposed to be a prince, a member of the royal family at the age of 17.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, technically, she wasn't trafficked by him. She was
Sexually
supplied
assaulted
to her, which is, I don't know, better or worse, but still, equally disgusting.
He battered her as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
She's suing him for battery as well. Like, so it's sexual assault, battery, and something else I don't remember. And then Epstein's just getting trafficking charges. But yeah.
Well, yeah.
And can we actually touch on to the fact that the Metropolitan Police said, no, we're not involved.
In the party, you mean?
Yeah, with the they were trying to say not to that they weren't going to investigate anything on their end to do with Andrew here as well.
Really?
Yeah.
No
I remember
way.
one of the independent media partners reporting about it, and I was just like, are you fucking joking?
Seriously?
Yeah, but then it kind of just goes to show, considering that they, what with all the fucking Sarah Everard and all of the sexual assault allegations they get.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, no, the one thing that is certain, they definitely are not investigating any of the parties, even though Boris Johnson openly said, yeah, I attended a party.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, because obviously I'd love them to be prosecuted for it, but I'm also not super keen to set the precedent where the police can just like decide you had a party retroactively and then fine you all.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's just part of me is like, I feel like that could get like abused.
No, it would, because it would end up becoming a police state if they realise how much power they could have. But the good thing is UK police don't have guns. But no, it's almost that, and then it's also Met Police drop investigation into Prince Andrew.
Yeah,
they were just like, no, we're not involved in this, and I think that is a fucking joke. And not part of my language, because that is atrocious. That's why everyone's saying, oh, the Buckingham Palace all of a sudden stripping him of his titles. So unexpected. No, it wasn't. You've already basically instructed the Metropolitan Police to drop the case and said, nah, leave it. He's one of us. Like, no. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's really scary. Like, you're here concerned about the fact that you're trying to diminish our rights to protest. But yet you're letting a paedophile get away with what he's done. It's ridiculous. Like, and it's kind of this attitude is the same kind of attitude that the police take towards like regular sexual assault cases, like towards women. This is obviously towards a minor, and we've seen how their attitudes towards how they treat sexual assault cases have reflected on them themselves, because they often commit sexual assault. So it just makes you question, like, are a bunch of you also nonsense? Because
I mean, I'm
not putting it against them.
I mean, that's what Maxwell was there to do. Theoretically, was to compromise people. That's what all the tapes were there for. The tapes that the FBI catalogued and then claimed they didn't have, and have now disappeared.
everything always disappears. When it at any convenience, don't really understand how we're in the 21st century. We've got blockchain technology, but you're telling me you've lost the chain. No.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of bullshit. But yeah, no, the whole Prince. I'm over the moon that they've dropped his titles. But I feel like it doesn't really mean anything. I feel like they've done it just to keep a good face. I don't feel like he's not necessarily going to be able to like still interact with his family or enjoy the privileges of being a member of the royal family. Just because he can't be like, hey, like let me in here for free, doesn't mean one of his family members can't go with him and be like, let us in here, Jan.
Yeah.
The only difference is now he's represented as an independent person and we're not paying for his court fees anymore. But
yeah. Does he have any money of his own?
Probably. Has he been? They've not stripped him of like any land or anything like that he's got.
Does he have land? Does it like own like does he own it?
I'm sure he has properties. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe if it's a house, not maybe like land, but surely he's got like a few houses.
Oh yeah.
So probably a fucking landlord.
Yeah. That would explain it, wouldn't it?
Give his landlord vibes.
Oh, he really does. That's a great idea, though. Actually, your very offhand comment about blockchain. We should be stamping all leaked documents as NFTs so they never disappear.
Yeah, never. You should be like, oh, sorry, I lost it. No, you didn't. Here you go. It's right here. Look through it.
Yeah. That'd solve a lot of problems, wouldn't it? If it was all just stamped on the
That's
blockchain.
why I'm doing an unapologetic plug. That's why Bywire is all of our content stored on the blockchain. So even if we change anything, obviously, you can go back and see what the original post was.
That's cool. We don't have to rely on archiving posts.
Yeah.
Because that is an interesting one. Like I've been noticing sometimes how you can go back through articles that have been edited. Once they've been posted, you can see it because people have stamped it on the Wayback Machine. You can see what it was originally and what they've changed it to, and it's like, whoa, okay. So I wonder who asked the language to be changed, or who asked what thing to be removed. And it's just
who complained, what went wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So then, on top of all of this madness, there was this thing about a fucking Chinese agent operating in Parliament.
I don't know much about this, but I read up about it, and you know what? All I've got to say is I find it really interesting how they're blowing it so extremely out of proportion because this woman has donated to the Labour Party and the Lib Dems. No one's ever tooting the horn about the fact that the Conservatives get money from Russia left and right and centre, and Russia's like, it's known that Russia's interfered with our shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very clearly known. And also, haven't we tried to get, like, trade deals with China recently? So, like, why are we getting pissed off at Chinese interference? It doesn't make sense.
Hang on, I'm just going to check here the Russian donations to the Conservative Party. Because, like, I'm fairly sure Boris Johnson was paid an outrageous amount of money, right? Oh, here's the ferret, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Russian donors give, there you go, Conservative Party.
Here it is. 3.5 million.
And that's nothing compared to the money that the one Chinese donor gave. It was like hers.
She gave like
45,000 in total or something like that.
No, it was like 600 grand.
Oh no, because sorry, the 5,000 was to the Lib Dems, and then the lump sum was to the Labour Party.
Yeah, the Barry Gardiner. Yeah, he got most of it. But yeah, so it's obscene though. Like look, what was it there? So yeah, one Russian minister donated more, like 450 grand, like the same amount. This is just one dude who was like donating the same amount as this Chinese agent was. Like, right. And also, just to say, like, this is not to like diminish the seriousness of like foreign people.
No, whatsoever. I just find it funny how it's such a big thing.
It seemed a bit convenient, didn't it? Like the timing of the release of this piece of news.
Yeah, literally, they're like, oh right, the Tories are fucking up, but Labour did this, like Labour did, and it's nothing when you compare it. And it's like, but people hear it and they're like, oh my god, that is terrible. Like China, this and there's so much bad propaganda about China as well. So people are very quick to be like, oh my god, it must be like a bad foreign agent, this, that, and the other. Also, talking of like foreign interference, the UK is always interfering everywhere. So I don't understand why one little Chinese woman coming over here.
They can't do it to us. That's the point.
Honestly, like, how many wars happened because of foreign interference? And we were involved. We were just there like, yeah, let us dabble our feet. And then we leave. And then we complain about the immigrants that come flooding our
We were dropping bombs. They were bribing us. You know, obviously it's worse.
Oh, honestly.
You know?
This country is just a mess. Like anything that happens to us, I feel like we're like the boy who cried wolf. We're just always like, oh my god, they're being bad. They're being so mean to us. Like the whole thing with Brexit. How are you agreeing the departure date of the 31st of December? And then as it's approaching, you're just like, no, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm so sorry. It doesn't work for me. Like, we're the ones that wanted Brexit. How can you then say, oh yeah, the 31st of December just doesn't work? Like, we're going to have to rearrange something else.
It's like a husband or a wife going to the other one in the midst of like, they're like, right, I want a divorce. And they're like, well, you know, we've got a good thing here, but all right. And then obviously divorces get petty, like the fucking dispute did, but you know, both sides start fucking being moronic and then the UK goes like, well, the divorce, or the EU goes, right, the divorce is happening now. And the EU are like,
I want to wait a bit. Like, I kind of like you. Like, yeah. What? It doesn't make sense. It does. Do you know what? I feel like right now, the whole country is just a fucking laughingstock to the rest of the world. We've got a paedophile. We've got a prime minister who doesn't know how to brush his hair and is just partying. There is a video of the man whining on the woman with a lightsaber in her hand. Please get this video up.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Because it's ridiculous. Have you seen...
Like, it's insane. I have it saved. Don't worry.
It's fucking ridiculous. Like, and this man is in charge of our nuclear weapons.
Oh, goodness, right. Well, I find it. Keep talking. Say something.
Why am I meant to say Boris Johnson is a cunt?
Yeah.
Boris Johnson, no, but yeah, I do feel like we're a laughingstock to the rest of the world right now, because it's almost like, I feel like the rest of the world is almost coming to terms with COVID, kind of getting to a point where it's like, okay, we kind of know what we're doing. We can kind of adapt back into normal life, living with it there. They've not got the world, people protesting against them because they're trying to force vaccine passports on them. They're just like, look, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't.
Yeah.
And then you've got us. We're arguing with each other. It's like we've got to look.
Here it is. Right, hang on. Let me get this on the video, and then we'll go back to the start. Yeah, look at this shit. Our Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen. But the thing about it is that, like
I wish she would just sweep him, like just swipe his foot.
Just like take him out.
He's got a wife.
Oh god, he's got several wives.
Is he got his collar's undone? He's moving dirty.
Yeah, like this is from one of the posts. Like he's like either expecting or like maybe just had a baby at this point. Yeah, right.
Like look, he's looking at dead, and I look at him. He's enjoying that music, telling other people join the dance floor. It's
hand in hand and all. It's like, but right. Part of me is like, is that not like the perfect representative for Britain in a way? No. Like in a really like.
That's why this man still has supporters, because I even saw a tweet today that said something like, "Can all of the scandals that Boris Johnson has done, can it actually make people realise not vote him in just because he's kind of funny?" Mm.
Well, I'm not saying
I watched this video and I'm like,
yes,
and I'm like, Boris Johnson is funny, and then I go home and I'm like, oh, he's not that, but he can't harm me that much if this is the shit he's doing, but he can. Mm. He's literally responsible for the deaths of thousands of people.
Yeah, he can get away with it, but with this like vibe that he's a bit of a lad somehow,
literally.
and
he's literally not. He went to Eton.
Yeah,
he's not.
But somehow he manages to maintain this. Like, how do you think
he
still has that hair? Is it just the hair? Is it literally just the fucking hair?
No, I think it's just because he's just a bit. He's just a bit like, yeah. I don't know how to explain. He's a bit meh. Do you know what I mean? Like he's just. I feel like people feel sorry for him.
Maybe.
Like one, he looks like he doesn't look like your typical privately educated person. Like, if you take him out of the suit and put him in a tracksuit, he would look like someone who needs a carer. And if you saw him dancing like this as well, you would go and be like, are you okay? Do you want me to take you home?
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd give him a bit of change.
That's what you see on the dance floor at 3 a.m. at a wedding. And it's the drunk uncle. And someone has to go and take him away.
Literally.
You know?
He's a joke. And that's why I feel like people just, I feel like because of how comical he is and just how unserious he is, people don't realise how serious the damage he causes to the country is. Because they're able to kind of separate the two from each other.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty accurate. It's a weird thing that he's still able to separate, because I'm aware.
No.
I know that he's a crook, and somehow I managed to like overlook that when I look at him. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny.
Do you know what it's almost like, because you know he's a crook, but it's like, what can you do?
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just apathy.
It's just like, what do you know what I sometimes say? I don't think people get assassinated enough anymore. But then when you think about it, it's like, cool, I kill one privately educated Tory prick, another one comes into power, and then I got to deal with new shit all over again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but like that's the other question, is that like, is the replacement any better?
Rishi.
Yeah. Like, is that or like even
He's
worse?
the richest man.
Yeah, even
in
worse.
the country.
Yeah, Liz Truss is being touted.
No, like, I don't think anyone who's at the forefront of the Conservative Party is going to be any better than Boris Johnson.
Like, have you seen that video of Liz Truss being interviewed by Eddie Meyer?
No.
Right, I'm gonna try and get it up here, because like it's unbelievable. Like she's being asked about austerity, right? And she's being asked about like about the referendum and about the impact of austerity upon people, and he just shreds her because she starts sniggering. Like, and that's not even a joke. She actually starts fucking
Do you know
laughing.
what? Yeah, I feel like the women in the fucking Tory party are almost worse than the men. Like, Priti Patel boils my blood. Liz Truss, same thing.
Yeah. So, right, let's make sure this audio should work. Okay.
But that's like Allegra Stratton, when she was talking about the party, she laughed.
That their vote would be implemented, and the reality is the vote needs to be implemented. I don't think people have changed their minds. That's true.
Right. You see, she's just laughing.
The people I speak to, many of whom voted for May, say, please, Liz, just get on with this. They don't want another year or more of Liz asking the same question again. They just want us to deliver it. People can change their minds, but only if they go from Remain.
And there's more of that interview as well. It must be the same one where he's like he's going through with her, and he's like, did you suffer at the hands of like the regime of the austerity? Like, did you have to suffer because of the cuts that were made? And because she's like, yeah, everyone suffered. And then he's like, did you? And she just laughs. He's like, as if that's an absurd question
To even
yeah.
I saw somewhere recently, it was reported that MPs are due to get like a £2,000 pay raise per month, while you've got NHS workers still not even with appropriate PPE. The way this country handles taxpayer money, or just money in general, is a fucking joke. Track and trace, 8 billion pounds.
37 billion.
Yeah, so I wasn't even fucking close. 37 billion, and it still doesn't work. It also got stopped at one point. Don't really know what you're doing. Big Ben's been renewed for what? When Grenfell Tower's not even been...
Yeah.
No. Do you know what? I understand.
My point is that I don't think Big Ben is a bad thing to restore.
No, I understand tourism. Yeah, like, I know one of our... But in the middle of a pandemic, you think tourism should be our main concern? It's not the place or time. You've got people on the streets. You've got not enough PPE. You've got a failing track and trace system. You need a pay rise for NHS workers, and you've decided to rebuild a clock tower.
Priorities, really, innit?
Do you know what I mean? Like, this country's so like, oh yeah, we care about like the people in this country first. So why are you focusing on the tourists? So why are you so concerned about what the tourist is going to think when they come here? Focus about the fact that there's people dying.
Yeah.
So none of it makes sense. Aside from Big Ben, they built that stupid little skywalk thing by Hyde Park. Like? What's the point of that? And the worst part is, it's lower than most skyscrapers. So you can't fucking see anything. Just open up a rooftop of a building in Canary Wharf, I'd get a better view. Just go to the Shard. Go to the Shard.
Yeah, it's a beautiful view. It's already built as
And
well.
it's in the middle of actual London. That one's just in Hyde Park. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. I feel like this country doesn't know what it's doing with anything. They're just like, yeah, we have money, take it.
Yeah. But is that right? Are we at the logical conclusion? Like, is this where it ends? Because, like, Douglas Murray, who I assume you're not a fan of, but he at least makes the point when he's talking about he compares, like, where we're at now with, like, a lot of countries in the developed world, like America, Britain primarily, where we've reached this like point of an empire where it like is on the decline again.
Oh yeah, I think
And
we're going back on.
Yeah, and he points to a lot of like the similarities between like what's going on now and like ancient Rome and ancient Greece, and it's like, is this just us? Is this the dying like of the
End of us.
yeah, I don't know. I don't even think civilization, but I mean this nation, or like the state of the United Kingdom, or however you want to define
Do you know,
it.
I feel like there's a few developed countries that I think are kind of going through that right now. The UK being one of them. I think Poland's doing the exact same thing. Like, it's also introducing a bunch of authoritarian rules. Like, they're introducing LGBTQ free zones where people, if you're gay, you can't go in them or you get arrested. They're trying to criminalize being gay with being a paedophile. And it's like, this is the kind of thought process, or like even the laws that they're trying to push forward now with like the protests here with the policing bill. These are laws that you would expect them to try and push forward couple of decades ago, not now. So I really feel like we've almost reached our peak in terms of progression, so we're just kind of backtracking because the people don't know where else to go from it, so we're just like, right, let's just make shit worse so we can then try act like the saviors of making things better again.
I mean, it's because we're like, I think it's important to remember is that we're in a unique position essentially in that we like no country, like, and I don't mean just Britain, but like no country in history, like before the modern era, had the amount of like freedom, information, technology, but then also like wealth, power, and like the ability for those to be directed in really horrible like ways, because like obviously people were wealthy in the past and people were powerful, but the modern world seems to facilitate that being like more powerful than it ever was and more insidious in a way. Like, do you think we get like, is it like where we at like collapse, or are we at a stage where like things are going to sort of fall apart a bit and we'll be able to rebuild?
I feel like everything needs to absolutely come crashing down before we can
I don't want that.
try and rebuild anything. I say that just because of, if you look like on a wide spectrum of things, most of our institutions are still built on racism and things like that. So I personally don't think that you could just have a little shake up and then try and go from there. I think you kind of have to screw it all up. That's why I feel like I'm almost in a point in my head where I'm just like, there's no fixing any of it. And it's sad, and I really don't want to think that way, because I want to inspire other people to know that they can make a change with their voice and with their actions. But I feel like there's just been so many things going wrong that I'm just like,
For me, the problem
what is it going to take for people to, one, wake up and realize that the people that they're electing into power are not the correct people?
I think we're in that moment if it's going to happen.
That's why when we started the interview, I was like, do you know what, as fucked as everything is, I feel like it's almost going in a good fuck direction. Like Prince Andrew losing his titles, Boris Johnson's getting outed, like even the Conservative Scottish MP said he needs to resign. So like members of his own party are starting to do you know what, catch on. So I do feel like it's going in the right direction, but I'm almost like, is it going to go in the right direction and then just go back to shit, or is it going to go in the right direction and stay like that? But I'm hoping it's the latter, obviously. But I don't have high hopes for this government or any government in this world, if I'm being 100% honest. What, New Zealand?
No, I wouldn't consider it.
I feel like it's too good to be true.
No, I don't think New Zealand's a good example, because there's a I don't know, I've had some people like saying to me that there's like a lot of like problems underlying what's going on there that are not being addressed.
That's what I mean. I feel like it's just on the surface it looks fantastic, and then when you actually look at the bigger picture, there's probably a lot of things we don't know about. And obviously New Zealand's not a nation that you're going to familiarize yourself with that much. But
there's got to be someone doing good things. Let me have to think about this.
No, but you can't name me just a singular politician. I need like a government that's doing good.
No, I know. That's what I'm thinking. Like, there's got to be someone who's not completely insane.
That's please every single politician that I think of that's been in the news recently, tapped. Bolsonaro tapped. The guy in
Bolsonaro's an interesting one though. I've spoken to a couple of people from Brazil who really lovely people, and they're like, everyone who's not from Brazil has no idea what Bolsonaro replaced. He was like, the regime before was so horrendously corrupt that we will take anything else.
My best friend's Brazilian, and she literally told me the same thing. She was like, everyone in Brazil votes for Bolsonaro because of how bad the guy beforehand was. So they're just like, this is so much better. Like, yes, we love you. And they're obsessed with him. And that's just sad though. But things like that almost make me be grateful, but sad because of the fact that, like, as much as the UK is going in like an authoritarian direction, we have so much more freedom than a lot of other countries.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when I've spoken to journalists from Russia and they've told me that they've had like people try and kill them because they've said something, and I'm just like, I could literally write an article being like, Boris Johnson is a sex trafficker and he kills little babies. No one wouldn't come knocking on my door. Twitter. No, I get banned. I probably might get, like, someone might try to sue me for defamation, but I'm not getting killed. No one's going to try poison me. They're not going to torture me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, it's really, really crazy. So, like, I'm grateful for the levels of freedom we have in this country, but I feel like a lot of people take them for granted, and that's why they're not taking things like the policing bill or the Official Secrets Act and all of the bills that are being pushed through Parliament. They're not taking them as seriously because they're just like, oh, we can't mean anything that bad.
Yeah, that's the problem as well. Like, 'cause I try to have these conversations with people about it, and half of the fucking problem, right, is when you start mentioning the word freedom, then people automatically, like, some half the time people's like head goes like to click as if I'm some like free market, pure libertarian, like, you know, like, come on, America, freedom, like that's what the word like is associated with in a lot of people's heads. So you have to like explain, be like, no, right, I'm not insane, right? I'm not like someone who believes the Wild West needs to come again, like, because that's what a lot of the libertarians want, you know. Like, fair enough, fair play them, that's their goal, but you know, but half the time it's like we have to realize that the freedoms that we've had are the reason that Britain is like one of the most like diverse, open, accepting societies in the world, like in world history as well. Like,
and one of the countries everyone wants to live in.
Yeah,
because of how we have been, and
regardless of all the other flaws.
Yeah. And the thing is, in the direction that we're going in, I feel like it's not going to be a place. One, it's going to be difficult to live in. And two, I don't feel like people are going to want to come and live here anymore because it's just like, well, I can't speak my mind. There's no freedom of speech. Okay, might as well just stay where I'm living.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be any different. It's ridiculous. My best way of trying to make people understand how bad, like, the policing bill is, for example, is telling them that if you punch a police officer in the face, you're getting 10 years in prison. Because that's one of the things that's under the bill. And that's
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. It's crazy. You get 10 years also for the Colston 4. If that happened while the policing bill was pushed through, they would have got 10 years.
That's tough. What would they have got now, say they'd been convicted?
I'm not sure. It would have been like a couple of months or something.
Yeah.
Surely it wouldn't have been anything like that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Because it was like,
collectively, I feel like it might have been like maybe 4 years or something like that between the lot of them, but it wouldn't have been more than a couple of months. To be honest with you, though, that was a very surprising turnabout. I didn't think that they were going to be found.
Really?
Well, like, I did because it's the jury, but like, actually, no. Do you know what? Because they're trying to appeal it anyways. They're trying to appeal the. I was gonna say I didn't think the government was gonna let it happen, but then I've just answered my own question because they are definitely trying to overturn the decision.
Well, I mean, like, that was a weird one for me because I'm like, you know, people do we want your own city? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't want that statue there, that's fine. Part of me is also like, it was technically criminal damage. But like, it's like, oh, you know, it's your city, go for it. And I was pleased to see the court decide that they weren't gonna like convict people for it. And the thing that was like the most hilarious was all the people who are normally like, well, the British courts and, the legal system of the world, and then all of a sudden
They were just like, we love you.
yeah, and then like fucking like Jacob Rees-Mogg and stuff, all of a sudden he's like, oh well, the jury's wrong, the legal system is just defunct and it doesn't work, and so you're just like, what?
No, I saw a tweet that said something like, funny how all of the politicians that say you can't just overrule a decision because you don't like it are now trying to overrule a decision because they don't like it, and I was like, yep, sucks to be you. But do you know what? One thing I respect all four of those people for is they did that shit with their chest. They were like, yep, we did this. They did not deny it at any moment. They were like, yep, I did it. I threw it in the water. Like, please do what you want with me. And I feel like that is a really good message to send out to people, because I feel like a lot of the time, people who aren't necessarily as involved in like activism or stuff like that, they kind of just go by law, and they think that whatever the law is what's moral or is the right thing to do. And that's so not the case. Like, realistically, racism and homophobia used to be legal. Do you know what I mean? So if you're going by law, a lot of the things you're doing wrong. So I feel like doing something that you think is morally correct, which is what they did by toppling the statue that was a slave trader, kind of reinforces in people's heads the idea that, like, look, if you think something's morally correct to do, just do it. It doesn't matter what the law says. I feel like that's not a good message to send out to murderers, but
to all the murderers listening right now, don't do that.
That was not a message for you. It's not a message for you.
But you're right, I think. Like, and I think that's ultimately how like a lot of laws change over time.
Yeah, you just have to show people that it's wrong. Like, for example, one thing that I think is, sorry, just to speak on British law, because we've picked up on it. By definition, in British law, a woman cannot rape a man. Mm-hmm. Because in order to rape someone, you have to have a penis attached to your body. Yeah. It sounds like it's just going left, but I've had a point.
No, that's right.
Right, so
I remember I did law.
You can't. So you've by law can't rape someone if you're a woman, which automatically means when you get charged, even if you raped someone, because you could still rape a man. Realistically, it doesn't matter, as long as you're penetrating someone, it's rape. So even if the man was now to take the woman to court and be like, yep, she raped me, she automatically gets less time because she's being charged with sexual assault rather than rape, which automatically diminishes the seriousness of her crime, because sexual assault and rape is like here, sexual assault is like here. It's like sexual assault could be slapping someone on the ass. So a woman automatically gets less time, even if the crime is just as horrific, if not worse, because you've actually had to attach something else to yourself to then go and commit the crime. So I use that.
Maybe we need to like find some like dildo manufacturer, right? And we need to go to Parliament and just let them experience what it would be like.
Like that episode of Black Mirror when he has to fuck the pig.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like they do, because sometimes you're setting a law and it's like, why do you think that just because something's plastic, do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. And I use that as an example to when people are like, oh, but it's illegal. I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter. You think the law defines everything that's right and wrong? No, it doesn't. If the law is telling me that just because I use the dildo to rape someone, it's not rape, the law's not correct.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of cases like that. I don't know.
There's so many things, but that's just like one thing that is just plain and simple wrong. But the British law has so many loopholes in it as well that you just... One thing it doesn't have loopholes for is poor people. If you're poor, you're going to jail one way or another. Especially with the fucking laws they're putting in now.
Yeah, it does concern me, like this, the idea, like even the conception that they think it's all right to criminalize protest. It's just like, what? Fuck you.
What am I meant to do?
Actually, fuck you.
Because your automatic reaction to that is to protest.
Yeah.
Like, someone tells you you can't protest, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to protest against you telling me not to protest. And then what do you do? What am I meant to do?
Yeah.
Boycott.
Yeah.
Stick outside and be like, I'm boycotting you. That's still a protest.
Yeah. And people are like very quiet on it, on a lot of like the like military sort of style police state that's been like welcomed in a lot of places, like under the guise of like, dealing with an actual crisis. But they like, for example, I remember there was that protest in Australia where they were stood outside, I cannot remember what building it was, and they started firing rubber bullets at the peaceful protesters. And I was like, people, you do not get it. This is, and I've come from a country where there has been fucking military violence against the population, right? I'm aware of what that does to your country. And like, they are one fucking step from Bloody Sunday.
No, literally.
All they had to do was load the guns differently. That's it. Yeah. And it's like, you don't, like, I can't get in my head around why people think that that's not horrifying.
Yeah, I just feel like people aren't grasping this. One, I don't think they're grasping the seriousness of what specifically the crimes, police and sentencing bill is. But also, I don't think that, do you know what? I think it's a thing of people, a lot of people protest for what they want to protest for, which means they don't often protest. So someone being like, oh, you can't protest, they're just like, oh, sorry, I only protest like once every 5 years anyways. But not realizing that when those laws come into place, they're going to try and push through a bunch of other laws that you're not going to agree with, and you're not going to be able to protest against those. So it's cool, you might not be a protester, but you will be once they get rid of your right to protest, because they're going to do stuff to annoy you. And then the other thing that with that bill is, like I mentioned previously, I feel like there's been, like, look over there, like you said earlier, there's been so many distraction tactics over this bill being pushed forward that there's scandal after scandal that people are just like, oh, people forget about it.
Yeah.
People
it's a lot to deal with.
Like, putting a law, making a bill a law takes a long time. Like, you've got to put it through Parliament once, twice, and then put it through to the House of Lords. Takes a lot. So for a regular person to have to follow something like that, you're going to hear about the law once and you're going to be like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Think it's gone.
Yeah.
And then next thing you hear about it, it's actual law, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. But right, do you know what the worst bit about that whole scenario is? Like, you're totally right. People wouldn't, like, but people never had the time really to sit and look at these things in depth. Like, the average person doesn't have the fucking time. They are dealing with their wife or their husband or their kids or like their mother or their uncle or like their job, or like people have lives to deal with, right? We can't all be watching fucking Parliament 24/7 as to what they're doing. And the media and the journalists who fucking abdicated all responsibility over the past like 10 years were meant to be the people who represented the thoughts of like the rest of us. They were meant to sit there and like if Boris Johnson came out and went, well, right, we're going to criminalize protest. Like, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that entire press corps would have been like, whoa, hang on. Like, what the fuck? Yeah,
where's this coming from?
Yeah.
Now all they do is sit and listen and then report on the front page being like, Boris Johnson criminalising protest. We don't know why. We don't know for when. We don't know shit. We just find it out as he says it. Because I've said this time and time again, the corporate media or mainstream media, whatever you want to call them, they're just a mouthpiece for the government. That's all they act as. They don't hold them to account. There's no scrutiny involved, anything of the sort. And that's what makes it so much worse. Even now with all the scandals that Boris Johnson is going through, the media is now trying to be like, oh, fuck that guy. Or like even all the headlines in the newspapers, they're like, oh, Boris Johnson this, Boris Johnson that. But he is a product of what they created.
Yeah.
They literally helped this man become the mess he is now by letting him lie time and time again, helping him get into power in the first place by absolutely smearing Jeremy Corbyn. And now, because he's royally fucked up and pissed off the Queen, everyone's like, we don't want nothing to do with him. But it's like, as much as Boris Johnson is at the forefront of all of this bullshit, it takes more than one person to create a mess this fucked. And the media has a huge role to play in it. Especially if you're going to allow the leader of our country to feed you lies, and then what you do is you continue to feed us lies. You have a duty to the public to deliver us accurate and honest information. So if you're just delivering us lies, you're not. Your duty's not to us. Your duty's to the government. And then that's when it's like, that's when it makes it more like a authoritarian system to live in, because in Russia it's basically the same thing. Russian news agencies don't really report anything apart from what Putin says. Same for in Poland recently. They've introduced a new law, so foreign investments in media companies aren't allowed. So any media company existing in Poland is owned by the Polish government. So all other media companies had to shut down because they had like one of them, it was specifically directed at one media station because they had investment from the US and they were the only ones that challenged the Polish government. They completely had to get scrapped because a new law got pushed through. So I feel like the media is almost I feel like media and Boris Johnson go hand in hand in what they've done, because just because the media might not be responsible for what he's done or doesn't have any direct power to influence what he's done, but they've got a fuckload of power in making someone resign.
Yeah.
Listen, if you put enough bad reports about someone, you can lead to suicide. You think if the BBC and every single corporate media in this country put out a bad report forcing Boris Johnson to resign, you think he wouldn't be crumbling in his bedroom, crying and be like, I gotta resign?
It's a nice thought, isn't it?
But they won't do it. And why? Because most of their funding is from the government.
Yeah, like that's a really, really good point. The government has paid obscene amounts of money during this pandemic to the corporate press, like under the guise of like advertising things like the booster or etc., which is like fair enough, but they've also like they're the reason that a lot of these papers have survived this last 2 years. Is the government, like they're propping them up. They're the ones like, are you gonna seriously like write something bad about the people who are literally keeping you in a job?
No, and that's the thing. And people, I don't know if people just don't realize this, or like it's because in movies the media always gets portrayed as the people who challenge the government or like spill the tea about things. That's not what they're doing in this country. They're just stroking Boris Johnson's ego. And the BBC is the same. People are like, oh yeah, the BBC is great because it's like a public service broadcaster. Do you know what? The BBC is probably the worst of the lot. The BBC literally is a public service broadcaster. It has a service to the public. And what does it do? The director of the BBC is some huge business corporate mogul giant.
Mark Carney, I think it is.
Don't have the time. Andrew Marr literally lets every single Conservative MP come on his show and he's just like, right, tell me everything you've done. They tell him everything and he's just like, that's fantastic. Any Labour MP comes on, then they're like, oh, I raised money for poor people. But like, why? What about the rich people? Why do you only care about half the population? It's literally what they do. And then you want to tell me that they're neutral in their reporting. No, they're not. And you know what? It doesn't even matter, because I don't believe that true impartiality can exist as long as a media company is run by humans, because we all have opinions. That's just how we are. We judge people. That's our nature. The problem is if you try and broadcast to the whole world, right, we are impartial, when you're not. Because then the people who aren't clued up enough to figure it out for themselves will watch it and be like, oh no, they're non-biased, they don't have an opinion. And then you're feeding them your opinion and changing their outlook. Do you know what I mean? You can't say, oh no, we're not biased, but then you're like, oh, Boris Johnson, we love you. Keir Starmer, ill.
Yeah. It's like when Fox News do their, it's like, we're fair and balanced, and CNN's like, yes, we're all about our facts. And it's like, oh, you fuck.
Like, you're not. Do you know what? And I would, if Sky News of the BBC at the beginning of every report, they just went, hey guys, we're here to bring you the news. By the way, we're more right wing than anything. Yeah,
but I don't even class them as right wing. They're pro-establishment.
Yeah. That's a better way to put it. Yeah, like, oh yeah, like we love the government. Like, or just at the beginning of every broadcast, disclose the fact this broadcast was brought to you with the money of the government. Do you know what I mean? A simple thing like that. If people realise that it's government money, I feel like people think, oh yeah, like I'm paying TV license, I pay this.
Yeah.
I'm giving them the money, or like.
Yeah, they feel like it's.
You're giving them
They
profit.
feel like the BBC are always going to get the same budget, like they're not being lent on by the government, and that there is no pressure to say the correct thing, and which is just not the case at all. Like, it's, and I mean, the BBC, I think, I'm not sure they're the worst in the country.
They're not the worst, obviously, but I think the only reason I call them the worst is because it's in the name.
They
public
should
service.
be better.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they should be upholding the journalistic ideals. And I don't know, maybe they did a little bit in the past, but like for me, it's always gonna, like, the best journalism is not gonna come from a state-run company.
Yeah, no.
The best journalism is gonna come from like people out there doing it because they're like, well, people need to know about whatever bullshit that is that they're investigating, and
because those are the people who care about. They realise that their role in the world is to provide you with the information that you need to be able to make a change on what is going on in the world. Whereas the journalists that work in corporate media, I feel like they don't see it as that. They don't have this ideal outlook on why they became a journalist. I feel like they're just like, okay, I have to write 1,000 words and they're going to pay me this much money. That I feel like that's the thought process of a person working in a corporate environment, and I don't necessarily think that that's the way they've gone into it. But I feel like it's like you hear a big name and you're like, right, yeah, I want to work for Sky News. And then you end up selling yourself out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's easy money. It's easier money than struggling working for an independent media organisation for the better of the world.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're like, oh, fuck, I'm not making a change. And it can be a bit disheartening, but I still don't know. Fuck the corporate media.
Yeah. There's a family friend of mine who, like, a couple of times suggested that I clip parts of the podcast up and send it to, like, BBC and Channel 4, like, as, like, an audition tape. And I like, but he means well, because that's what he imagines journalism is.
Channel 4 is a bit of a funny one, actually, because there was the whole thing with they wanted to privatise Channel 4 because Channel 4's actually been usually quite independent, and in their reporting they're quite good at not necessarily questioning the government, but speaking on topics that need to be spoken about, whether it's poverty or things like that. So I feel like Channel 4, if you're going to send anyone any clips, do it to Channel 4. I feel like they're the only ones that I would give a bit of my love to.
Yeah, but for me it's a kid, like, but like, I don't know. I don't trust any massive media organization because, like, unfortunately, the way that, like, that landscape has evolved, they're full of little, like, things nudging you to say the right thing, or the stories that you should and shouldn't cover, or the you know, oh, we don't want to offend this sponsor. Or...
I feel like we're almost coming into, like, a world of propaganda more than news. Like, I feel like corporate media is just spewing propaganda rather than actual information.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And, like, actually, to be fair, one of the things that was really, I really, really, really enjoyed this week was finding out that CNN's viewership from this time last year is down 90%. 90%.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, everyone realised that they were that they're full of fucking shit and they're partisan hacks, and that they were literally, like, because all the people who, like, because, I don't know, there definitely used to be at least some mild form of information being provided, but, like, the last two years, or basically since, like, Trump drove them all insane, like, he broke their minds, and it became, like, opinion programming. So you'd have, like, Joy Reid stand up and just, like, give her, like, really crazy opinions, and people would be like, this isn't the news, like, this is you know, this is like
someone telling me what they think. Yeah, no, do you know what, I remember actually editing a video of, like, it was something to do with Trump, and it was a bunch of, like, clips of, like, CNN, Fox News, and all of them, like, doing reports on him. And I was watching it, and I was like, this literally looks like I'm watching satire. Yeah. Like, you know those what's that movie where they have, like, they do really, like, funny skits of, like, how not the new one, there was, like, an old one, and it was, like, how journalists act, and it was, like, a skit of them just going absolutely berserk. And I was watching it and I was like, oh my fucking God, is this what news is like in America? I was like, this is ridiculous. But yeah, no, I feel like they're just so passionate about Trump that but
he broke their mind, to the point where, like, this is not in any way, by the way, a defense of, like, anything Donald Trump did, right? But the amount of times that I watched, like, or I saw a headline about what he'd said, and I went and watched the clip, and it wasn't what he said. And I'm just like, look, he is dumb enough. He has enough horrendous ideas. Like, you don't need to misquote him.
Yeah,
and all that does is turn all the people who think that they're fake news, which they fucking are, basically. But, like, all the people that think that are just being given more and more material with which to say, look, these people are not, like, doing it. Like, and so I don't know, maybe
I feel like
we'll
America coined the term fake news.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that...
But, like, right, you see when you say propaganda, like, that's what it is. It's fake news.
Yeah. I feel like propaganda is, like, I prefer the term fake news, because propaganda is almost like a sugar-coated way of, like, oh, we're just trying to promote something to you on the slide. Yeah. But it's like fake news is like, no, this is a bunch of lies that we've decided to print out in hopes that you're not going to know any better. So it works out in our favour, but... Yeah, it's a bit wild, unfortunately. But that's technically what will happen if journalists don't do their job and hold power to account and ask the questions that we all want to know the answers to, because you're not getting the whole truth. You're just kind of like, yeah, cool. Yeah. And do you know what? No, matter of fact, all the UK media has done recently is report fake news, because if you're constantly saying Boris Johnson did not have a party, then it's fake news, because I'm sorry, there's a video. Have you seen it?
No, but it's not just one fucking party, is it? Every fucking day there was a new one. It's like, were these people doing any work?
Yeah,
like, were they just like boozing the whole time?
I'm honestly convinced that I could be prime minister at this rate, because if all it takes is partying and lying, I do that already. So, but yeah, no, honestly, it was like what I think Byline Times reported a total of like 13 parties.
Yeah, but like right. But just when you arrived, I went on Twitter for like 2 minutes. There was another one. In December 2020, when some person who was in charge of the lockdowns and all the rules, like some advisor, was having a leaving do, and they had a big fucking booze up. 17th of December 2020.
It's just a joke at this point, isn't it? I feel like they would. Do you know? I saw some of the tweets of people being like, oh, this time last year, I was looking at my wife for a bit of glass because I was respecting isolating rules, and the Tories were having a party. Like, it's a fucking joke. I guarantee you they were in that party and they were just like, hey, guys.
Yeah, look at what the plans are at. Like, yeah.
It'd be like, should we just go run around the streets because no one's out? Like, it's fucking, like, they literally just, this is why whenever people are like, oh, but like the government said this, fuck the government. Yeah. Fuck the government because the government says fuck us.
Yeah. It's like if they want to make the rules, they either fucking follow them or they fuck off. Like,
that's one thing. Do you know what? One thing with the whole Prince Andrew and everything that's happened with the parties, even his flat refurbishments, he did that, all the money he wasted on that. He's meant to be, Boris Johnson's meant to be getting investigated for a bunch of shit that the Metropolitan Police just not investigating him for. Prince Andrew also not getting investigated by the Metropolitan Police. And there's this whole thing of like, no one's above the law. Yes, they are. Yeah. Just be honest about it.
Yeah. And it's like, do you know the other fucking crazy thing is that like people are sitting there be like, you know, oh, I can't believe all these crazy conspiracy theorists think there's some like powerful people who have loads of influence in the world. It's like, no fucking shit. Why are they not getting investigated? Like, we've just like seen the world's like most famous sex trafficker murdered in his fucking cell. We've seen the guards, I don't know if you guys know this, the guards who were meant to be fucking watching him have like all the charges dropped. So they're not going to face consequences for that yet, right? Ghislaine Maxwell goes on trial for some monstrous fucking like sex trafficking ring and no one asks about the clients.
Yeah.
Like, and then, every single piece of criminality goes unnoticed by the Metropolitan, like goes uninvestigated by the Metropolitan Police. It's like, fuck off. There's someone with some influence here.
Yeah, no, it's the more comes out, the more people are just like, oh, that's just crazy talk. And it's like, how?
Yeah.
That's why sometimes you question yourself and you're like, can you actually make a change? Because no matter how much information you give people kind of be like, oh, you're crazy. You're just too open-minded, like you're a lunatic. It's like, that can't happen. You're a lizard person, or like you think lizard people are real. I don't think that fucking far. Yeah, I don't think reptilians are real, but like there is definitely pedophiles. That is a known thing, and most of them are people in power because there is no way they would be getting away with it.
Yeah, but we fucking locked them up. Like, we watched this happen. Like CNN, 3 fucking CNN producers in the last 2 months have been like accused of like either pedophilia or sexual assault.
Do you know what? I feel like I've read about like 2 separate Metropolitan Police officers being arrested for rape. So that's why I'm not surprised that they're dropping all of these investigations, because realistically, if you're going to investigate Prince Andrew for sexual assault, investigate people that you're working with, investigate the whole of the Metropolitan Police, because...
Yeah. And again, like, that doesn't mean we don't need the police. It just means we would like them to, not be corrupt as fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not a lot to ask.
I feel like, I don't know what's the screening process for hiring police officers, but I feel like they probably do a bigger background check on you when you're going to work as a carer in a care home than they probably would when you're a police officer.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know how many police officers got a DBS check.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Do they get DBS checked?
I don't know what sort of checks there are actually for.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's just that they're like, oh yeah, like go to police school, do your police training, and then come. That's it. As long as you can punch and kick. In America, it's even worse. Like, when I've gone to America, so I've seen some of their police officers, and there was a police officer that was morbidly obese, and I was like, I could kick you right now, and what the fuck are you gonna do? He'd have to shoot me. And then I was like, no wonder they will fucking just shoot you, because
they're all so on edge because they're aware of all of the like I don't know. I feel like it just gets worse. Like all the shootings makes the police officers more tense, and then they've got their gun out, and then they panic and they fucking shoot more people,
Yeah,
and that makes them more tense, and they panic more.
It's just it's stupid. I don't think they should realistically. I feel like it should be how it is here. The only police officers that have guns are the ones that actually are investigating like homicide, whatever. Like detectives have guns, but regular street police officers, you don't have.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always find that it's difficult with the gun issue in America.
Because
like,
obviously civilians have it.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's just so different because like civilians have the guns because America's fucking huge, and you could be like 6 hours from a police officer.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and like, so that's always the thing that I think about. And then I'm like, right, well, so the police need to have like equivalent levels of force technically. But that doesn't mean we can't like train them way better.
Yeah, that's why I feel like when it comes to like police training and anything like that, I don't feel like or screening. Like I said, I don't feel like the checks that are in place are correct because how are you letting rapists, racists, misogynists, homophobes?
Yeah. The people who are willing to carry out like and be part of some of the like I don't know. I watched protests last year. People just getting beaten.
Yeah, protests I feel like are the moment where you can really see police enjoy them exercising their power. Like that's when they're like, yeah, right, I can batter the fuck out of you and nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And that's what's scary because then if protests actually get criminalized, you're actually protesting now, you're not really committing a crime unless you act violently. Protesting when the police crimes and sentencing bill comes in, that's like, completely different. Yeah. You could just simply be sat on the floor or come out of your house and someone could batter you in the head.
Yeah.
And then you hit them back and you get 10 years for assaulting a police officer.
Mm-hmm. It's like what societies do we remember in history that criminalized people for just going in and sitting somewhere peacefully? It's like, is that the kind of like country we want to emulate?
Yeah, it's either like do as we say or shut up, we're gonna beat you up. It's crazy. That's literally what it says. It's like it's like the government saying it's my way or the highway. Sorry.
Yeah, basically. But sorry. Well, let's like try and find some sort of positive thing to end on.
Well, no, there is a positive. 2022 has started on the fact that Boris Johnson is getting slandered even by his own party. Prince Andrew's been stripped of his titles and the trial is going to go ahead. Fantastic. We're no longer paying for it either. I don't know what else. Those are like my two positives.
Like in the positive, like in terms of like we were talking about the vaccine passports are theoretically going to expire, the legislation on the 26th of January. So that'll be off the table, hopefully, as a possibility for like, abuse, hopefully.
I mean, seeing as we're staying on the positive side of things, considering they've just scrapped PCR tests, it might be on the path of that happening. I mean, the vaccine passport's being scrapped. Another thing, Colston 4.
Yeah.
Not guilty. Love that.
Yeah.
What else?
Got to be other good things. Well, CNN are down 90% of their viewership. That's nice. No, but like for me, that's proof that people will eventually stop listening to bullshit. Yeah.
I feel like one thing that people need to realize, picking up on media, I'm not even rounding off, I'm just saying another point. Radio. People don't talk enough about how right-wing radio is, and it's something that infiltrates your everyday life because you put it on when you're in the car, you're driving somewhere and you're listening to it, and it's like background noise. And it's like, those things that people say, like, oh, if you listen to something in your sleep, you're going to remember it. It's the same with radio. Like, you listen to something, you go about your day and you're like, oh, where did I hear that? You don't remember, but you heard it on the radio. And there isn't enough, like, whether it's left-wing or independent radio stations, there is not enough of those whatsoever. And I think that's something. So if you listen...
To be honest, I reckon that's probably more a function of the people listening to that medium.
Oh, so, well, listening to that.
Yeah, because like it's all like who really listens to the fucking radio anymore? Like, where do you right? If you're listening to something,
radio, but for music,
not for if you're listening to something, it'll be a podcast, right? And all the independent media, all the left wing independent media, they're online doing that sort of side of things. So there's no market, basically. I think for like I feel like traditional media in general, there isn't really a market that much anymore. Like even print media, that's why I'm surprised that it's still going. That's why when you said that obviously the government saved it makes sense, because I think they gave like 300 million
readership's gone kaput. Like, especially if you're, let's be realistic, majority of the time people pick up a newspaper on their way to work. People weren't going to work. People were working from home. How are you making any money as a newspaper? You weren't.
No.
So the government, yeah. But on the positives, I feel like...
Well, that's the print media collapsing.
Yeah, exactly. That's another positive. Do you know what I mean? I feel like maybe we're doing a Boris Johnson and doing a U-turn, and everything's going to go great for us now. I'm hoping so. Everything seems to be on the right path, but I hope it's not just like surface level stuff, and it does actually go further. So I hope it's not just people talking shit about Boris Johnson. I hope Boris Johnson actually resigns. Hope it's not just Prince Andrew being stripped of the title and he actually gets charged.
To fucking jail.
Yeah, 100%. Do you know how I think it would be such a great thing for this country to be able to say that we convicted a paedophile and he was not, obviously it's not something we should be proud of.
No.
But to be able to say like, yes, we managed to convict a paedophile and it was a member of the royal family, that is a big fucking thing to do as a people, as a collective, as a country, because everyone's just like, oh, the royal family, like they can't do anything wrong, like we can't do anything to them. They're like this separate, they're like a foreign entity to us almost, and we're just like, oh yeah, we can't touch them. So to know that we actually, if we come together and fight for something we believe in, to know we have the power of actually making a change, like putting Prince Andrew in prison, I think that would be like the incentive that a lot of people need to be like, okay, like we can make a difference.
Yeah, you just made me think of this amazing quote from Edward Snowden. He says, year by year, step by step, things get better. We make progress a little bit at a time, and the fact that someone is suing, the fact that the ACLU is bringing this case, they were talking about like a case against the NSA and the US government. So we should thank them for that. It's difficult and expensive proposition with no guarantee of success. And it says that doesn't mean you save the world. That doesn't mean we relax. We sit down on the couch. There's not a golden sunset, and that's not how life works. It's a constant struggle, but when we do struggle, when we do stand up, we believe in something so strongly, we don't merely believe in it, but we risk something for that belief. We work together, we pull the species forward 1 inch at a time. We move away from that swamp of impunity and unaccountability into a future where, hey, maybe not just a little guy breaks the law and goes to jail, but maybe a senator, maybe an attorney general, maybe a president, and that would be a very good precedent to have. And yeah,
I feel like that fits perfectly with what's going on. Where's that from?
That's Edward Snowden on Joe Rogan. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, Edward Snowden, like his, if anyone's not listened to them, the two interviews that Snowden did on Joe Rogan were just like, it's basically just Edward Snowden talking for 2 hours, but it's wonderful.
Who wouldn't want to listen to him talk?
Yeah. But yeah, so links for Claudia's stuff's in the description below. And thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't know what this was. I've tried to do this.
Peace. Yeah.
I did this.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the podcast. If you want to leave us a comment, that would be awesome. Please like, share, subscribe, and if you're listening on Apple, please leave us a review. Until next time, thanks for listening.